talking against authority, against government, leads us to a concept that most people don't like to talk about, which is anarchy. Are you an anarchist? I am an anarchist. Yeah, anarchy. Sometimes I tell people, we need anarchy. And they freak out. They're like, ah! The media has done such an incredible job of putting in people's brain that anarchy means, I don't know what people have in their heads, but basically it means people killing each other and fires in the street and nothing is in order and that kind of vision. Welcome to the neighborhood where everything explodes. Kaboom! Gojira! Yeah, so that's the vision. Most people have this vision of anarchy. But I like to ask people, and you can ask your friends that, and your family, do you know what anarchy means? What does the word anarchy means? Anarchy is an interesting term because it's an opposite of something. And when you have "an" in front of something, it's the opposite. So anarchy is the opposite of archy, which is arch, which means a ruler. So anarchy means the absence of one ruler. You know, the one ring to rule them all thing? Anarchy is the absence of that. Anarchy means there is not one person, one single person that has the power or the authority to decide for everybody else. Everyone is responsible for themselves. That is anarchy. That to me is an ideal. Not anarchy. Anarchy is the means to get to the ideal, which is responsibilization. Just being responsible for yourself. Not waiting for some outside authority to tell you everything you have to do or, what you have to believe in or whatever. Sorry, it's going to be a little darker, but I'm tired of being in a tunnel. So that's another thing you can tell your friends. Do you know what anarchy means? And just tell them, your belief, you can tell them. The ideas, the images in your head when I say the word anarchy come from the media. They come from school. They come from what you have been told by the people who don't want you to know what anarchy means. What it really means is no ruler, not one ruler. Everyone is in charge of themselves. And, another guy I like to quote a lot is Larkin Rose. Larkin Rose talks a lot about anarchy. That's basically his specialty, I think, as a subject. And he came up with another term for it. Gee, I can't remember it. But it's like, because that's the other thing. Someone said, when we come out of, when we find what's been happening in the world these past few years, we're going to need new words. We're going to need new words to describe the horrors that have been done. We're going to need new words. But I believe we're going to need new words for the good things also. Because anarchy is a word that's too tainted. And responsibilization has too many syllables. So we're going to need new words to describe a sort of ideal where everyone is in charge of themselves and sort of respect, we're respecting one another. But what was I going to say? Larkin Rose. Wait, let me check out my notes. Oh yeah, Larkin Rose was saying that one of the main arguments of people who are for government, who are afraid of not having a government, is that, well, we can't take care of ourselves. humans are not smart enough, or they're too out of control, they're too crazy, they're too, you know, it's the argument of people, environmentalists, saying that everything is our fault because we're idiots. But meanwhile, look at what the gas companies are doing in the, I mean, the you know, the big polluters of the world. Who do you think is at the top of these boards? Who do you think is the CEO of these companies? Humans. So what Larkin Rose says is, you know, people who think that we need government because we're too out of control are basically saying we're too out of control, so we're going to take a few of us and give them all the powers in the world to decide what to do with all the rest. The few of us that are there are as out of control as the rest. And let me suggest that they're probably a lot more out of control, because to get to that position, you cannot be, I want to say you can't be a good person. You can't be morally a good person. You got to step on some heads. It's a tough game out there. You know, even like the business that I know a little bit is the music business. And it's all a bunch of crooks. It's all a bunch of crooks. A lot of people tell me, oh, you know, your song should play on the radio. You're a good songwriter, should play on the radio. Yeah, I had a good friend who wrote a song that was in Montreal, in Quebec. It started playing on the radio a little bit, and it was like getting known. And it was when YouTube wasn't that big yet, so he didn't have like millions of views, but he had a lot of views for the time. And at some point, he went to see the director of programming for the radio station and said, look, our song is doing really well, but if you put it in like heavier rotation, if you play it more often, it's going to really take off. So could you do that? And the answer he got from the program director was, well, I need a new swimming pool. So give me X number of thousands of dollars and I'll do that. And that's the way it works. That's the way it works, ladies and germs. So, do you believe politics is any different? Politics is probably worse. People think that these politicians and these like big money people become corrupt when they get power. They get to power because they're corrupt. That's how you get to power. This kind of power, which is fake, which is just money. It's not power, it's just money. You're still owned. Don't worry, you're still owned. But, you know, if you're not corruptible, you're not going to make it in that arena. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Not the way things are now. Hopefully we'll build new ways where something like Benjamin Fulford often talks about a meritocracy instead of democracy or whatever. Meritocracy. Basically, whoever does the best job gets the job. And if they keep doing a good job, they can keep the job. And if they're not doing a good job, out. Fire the manager. He's a little more, he's a little smoother than I am, you know. When I opened my first Facebook account, there was a thing you could fill that said, what is your political view? And I wrote down, bring back the guillotine. It was a joke, kinda. So let's say we don't have government, but how do we govern ourselves? How do we govern our society? Now, there's a lot of ways, and yeah, I'm not an expert on all that. But one thing I can tell you that really opened my eyes was when there was the Icelandic revolution. And you got to be careful. Oh, you hear the bells? my friend the bell. I made it my friend, so it doesn't bother me as much now. You got to be careful if you research the Icelandic revolution, because there was a very important event in Iceland. A revolution, a real revolution, where people took over, people physically surrounded their parliament and went inside and fired their entire government and ripped apart their constitution and rewrote their constitution. And eventually, years later, they put Rothschild bankers in jail. Now, if you know these conspiracy theory things, I think you understand that what I'm saying is pretty damn heavy. The people put Rothschild bankers in jail in Iceland. And that was the Icelandic Revolution. But the media being the media, if you search for the Icelandic Revolution on the internet, you won't find any info about that, or very little. I don't know if everything's been erased or what, but at some point you could find some info. I don't know now what's available. But you will find something called the Icelandic Revolution, because a few years later, after they fired their government and basically got rid of corruption as much as they could, not 100%, they had the quickest and most amazing economic growth of all the countries in the world. But corruption came back, because they're not just they still have to deal with banks, they still have to deal with other countries. They're not isolated community. Geographically they are, but not financially, not economically. So some more corruption happened, and other events happened, which the media made sure to call the Icelandic Revolution. So if you're looking for the real event, they're sort of leading you towards a false event that has the same name, which is typical of the very, very typical of the media strategy. Anyways. But my point is, when Iceland had to rewrite their constitution, and that was like 10 years ago, I think. When they had to rewrite their constitution, they used the internet and asked everyone to vote on every single article. So they said, okay, we want this article on the Constitution that says blah, 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 blah. Well, do you prefer if it says this or that? What do the people want? So everyone could vote on every single article of their Constitution. Now, that is closer to democracy. That is respecting your people a little bit more. And I heard that they had a bit of a problem with it, because people were not that used to using technology the way they are today. It was 10 years ago. So, older people didn't really know how to work it, and also people they're not very politicized that much. So to get people to vote on constitutional rights or constitutional articles is pretty difficult. So at the end of the day, they didn't have a very high rate of participation. I think it was like I think I remember like under 20%, like maybe 17% of people voted, which is not great if you want to make it very democratic. But my point is, we can use their systems now. If people have enough time to watch cat videos and click like, or decide on Facebook for it, do I want to click like, or the little heart, or the little icon that goes ha 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 ha, or the other icon that goes brrr, I'm mad because Facebook wants to tell me how I feel. Well, if they have enough time for that, maybe they can have enough time to read about a certain issue and vote on it on a regular basis. In other words, we can be our government because we could vote on everything. Everyone could vote on everything. Now, it sounds like a big task because there's a lot of things to vote on, I agree. But I'm sure there's a way to divide this so that it wouldn't be so big. And I hope we'll come to that at some point. I don't have all the details, but I think, again, we can use technology. And with the blockchain, that's where the crypto come into play. With the blockchain technology, we can have a voting system where people cannot cheat. That is completely transparent and where people won't be able to cheat. So that's new. There's a concept, not cheating. So all that may seem like a lot of stuff, you know, talking to your friends and giving them images of, you know, what if you're the owner of a grocery store, convenience store, and the government, and debunking anarchy and debunking the authority myth and all that stuff. It might seem like it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. Yeah, I want my freedom, my freedom, but I don't want to do all that. It's too much. Well, you know, I don't have time to get involved. You're right. And you know why you don't have time to get involved? Because of the system we're in. That's the point. You will never have time to get involved because you're stuck in a system that won't let you have time to get involved. It won't let you experience the truth. That's why it's so busy bombarding you with lies, with fake stuff. It won't let you experience the truth. That's why it's so important to do it. That's why tonight, instead of being home playing Iron Maiden songs or whatever on my guitar, I'm out here making this video. Because I believe that if we do this, it's going to be, yeah, a pain in the ass. But what's on the other side is worth it. It's worth every second of it. I really, really believe that. I'll leave you with a little exercise from, I don't know if she's French or a lady. I don't know if she's French or maybe from Belgium. Her name is Kathleen Soubry. I saw that on a video. I'm just sort of repeating what she said. But I think it's an interesting exercise. Very simple. So you take a sheet of paper, split it in two vertically, so make two columns. In the left columns, you call it what I don't want anymore. And you write down all the things you don't want anymore in your life, in society, whatever. You're free to do whatever you want. So everything you don't want anymore, you write it down. Make a nice list. Take your time. Once that is done, I gotta sit down, I'm old. On the right side, you write what I want to manifest. Things I want in my life, things I want in my society, in the society I live in. What I want to manifest. So you have these two columns. What you don't want, what you want. Rip the paper in two. Rip apart those two columns. The one on the left, what you don't want, you burn it. Let it go. Burn it. Try not to burn down your place. And the one on the right, reread it. Once the one on the left is burnt, just reread it. Maybe keep it. Read it every day. Read it every day until it happens. Until you figure out, oh, maybe that's how I could do this thing, you know? At the end of the day, I don't know if we're owners of a convenience store or if we're slaves of an ancient alien race or if we're just dumbasses. But one thing I do know is that we create our world. We are manifestors of our reality. Problem is we are co-manifestors of our co-reality. But the sooner we make peace with that fact, the sooner we agree with that and sort of own to it, the sooner we can stop manifesting what others want. Because right now that's what's going on. There's a small minority of crazy people who own ancient knowledge, mostly about psychology, human psychology, and they are using this ancient knowledge to bring us, to make us manifest what they want to see in the world. And I think they're, what's the scientific term? They're fucking crazy. Because what they want to manifest is basically hell on earth. They want slavery, they want, you know, they're the guys and ladies trying to get the consenting age down in every country. It's been going down and down and down. You know, you think it's 18 where you live? Go check it out. It's probably 16 or 15. It's going down because that's what they want, you know. They never have enough. They never have enough power. So got to experience more. Let's hope we can be a little bit more reasonable. Let's start with ourselves. And since things are coming out in the media, let's go see our friends and family and maybe poke at them just a little bit. Like, you still mad? You still mad, bro? And ask them the questions I suggested in here, or not even the questions, just the images, you know, like, what do you think of that? Are you aware of the World Economic Forum? This thing that you don't believe, what proof would exist in the world that could make you believe it? You know, do you agree that we own our country and that the government is hired by us, that there's no authority? And I would say, don't try to discuss this too much. At some point, you know, what I say, like at the end of conversations with friends and family, when I talk about these things, when it's been a while, no matter how it's going, when it's been like, you know, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, I tell them, look, I understand you don't believe this. I understand that believing this sort of rips apart your entire worldview, and it's you know, it's difficult. It's difficult to take for anyone. And I understand that I've had years to adapt to that knowledge and question it and recheck. But, you know, you can tell your friends and your parents. The one thing I want to tell you, out of love, is that whether you believe me or not, this information, the fact is that these informations are coming out. They will be unavoidable. Now it's me bothering you with this on a personal level. But very soon it will be on a social level. It will be on TV. It will be in the newspaper. It will be everywhere. You won't be able to avoid these conversations. So for your sake, just keep in mind that maybe you got to start preparing yourself to be disappointed, to be, that's putting it lightly. Maybe you got to like brace yourself for impact because it's coming. And when it does, I'll be here. I'll answer your questions. I won't judge you. I'll be so happy that you're seeing reality for what it is. And also, you know, it's important to mention, once we go through this sort of growing pain, I believe there's a really nice future waiting for us. And I think it's so amazing that we can't even, you know, we can't see it because we've never experienced it. So a little bit of faith is needed. But anyways, good luck with your friends and family. I hope this helps. If you made it through this entire video, thank you very much. Please let me know. Like, some friends of mine told me, yeah, your videos are too long. And I was like, well, I like watching videos that are pretty long so people can go in depth into some subjects. And I think that's sort of the crowd I'm aiming for. But if everybody tells me it's too long, then I'll just make shorter videos, or I'll just take this one and cut it in 4 parts. And, you know, I don't mind. You have the right to watch this in many times. Like, sometimes I do that. I watch a documentary, I save it somewhere in my bookmarks. I'll watch half of it one day, the other half another day, whatever. You have the right to do that. You are responsible, response-able. Okay, you guys have a great day, evening, weekend, whatever time it is at your place. I'm gonna go back to my place. I'm gonna go see the sea a little bit. I like just chilling out, listening to the waves. It's so cool. And I'll talk to you very soon. And I hope this video helps. And together, let's have the best apocalypse ever.
quiet with